Welcome back to my cozy corner of the internet. I'm Mayastar, and this is the Mayastar Podcast. I teach energy healing courses online through Mayastar Academy, share spiritual guidance and mystical musings on the Maya Muses blog, and provide healing, ritual and spellcasting services as a starseeded shaman and professional witch. And today is episode 41 in the Mayastar Unscripted series, and we're going to be discussing ways to use energy healing and adapt our spiritual routines and rituals to restore our inner stillness. There are many ways to do this, so I'll be giving you some of my top tips and recommendations, as well as some ideas about different energy healing practices that can help you to maintain your equilibrium in a turbulent world. And at the end of the episode, I'll be drawing from the Lemurian Star Child Oracle for our spiritual starseed guidance segment. I'll present some ideas for reflection and meditation, and you can view the card for this week's oracle on the Mayastar Podcast YouTube channel by going to the channel page and then to the Community Posts tab. As usual, I come armed with notes but without a script, so we'll be meandering around the topic and pursuing the scenic route to enlightenment. If this sounds interesting to you, stick around and while away the next half an hour or so with me as we explore these things together, find out about the different ways you can work with me, and discover my energy healing and spiritual development courses by visiting my website at mayastar.net. You can also join the Mayastar mailing list to stay up to date with the latest special offers. So today's subject is taken from a recent update on the Maya Muses blog. And as I've explained before, these episodes are pre-recorded, so the most up-to-date information is on the Maya Muses blog at blog.mayastar.net. But I wanted to talk about this some more and see what comes up, because sometimes with these episodes, just talking about it, meandering around it, brings in new insights and new ideas. So the premise of this blog was about embracing stillness in an increasingly noisy world. And what I mean by that is it's not just the noise that we get from the television, from the people around us, from traffic in the streets and the things that are very much outside of us, your work environment, your commute to work, where you're interacting with the outside world, and it often comes with a lot of noise. But also when we get home and you're in a location where things should be a bit more settled and a bit calmer, they're often not, because you're constantly bombarded with new information, again from the television, people getting in touch with you, family, friends, because now you've got a mobile phone. It's not the same as when people used to phone you sort of once a week. Maybe your friends would phone you. Now it's multiple times a day. All of your friends and all of your family have access to you. So when you think about that, it's almost as if the noise doesn't stop until you fall asleep. There's the potential there, even if you're not getting the messages. I think Perhaps you're on a state of high alert, anticipating that a message could arrive at any time, because we so rarely switch the phone off. So it's that kind of noise. It's the constant anticipation of interruptions and being always accessible. And the other thing is, it used to be that it would just be text messages or phone calls on your mobile phone, but now you might receive notifications for emails. You've probably got half a dozen different messaging apps that people could contact you through. And you've got your social media where you may receive updates and notifications on there. Ones that you don't want. I don't mean the ones that come out from my channel. You want those ones, so make sure you switch those on. But I mean the others, sometimes some apps are just really noisy. You have to go in and mess with the notification settings to limit it, because otherwise you can be getting notifications continuously. The upshot of this continuous activity means that we don't often switch off. And for some people, it becomes a very alien experience to switch off or spend some time in silence. Like, it literally triggers anxiety for them to be confronted with that empty space. So I feel that in the modern world, trying to tap into some kind of balance, some kind of calmness is essential for maintaining your mental health. Obviously, I mean, there's only so much a human brain can take, but also your physical health, because if you're dealing with all these distractions and all these demands and all of this noise late into the evening, what chance do you have of getting a decent night's sleep? You're not going to be able to switch off and relax the way that you would if you were more used to that process. And if your sleep suffers, then your physical health soon suffers as well, because sleep is essential for repairing the physical body as well as the brain. So bringing some stillness into your daily routine could be something that you're doing not just for your spiritual health, not just for your mental health, but also for your physical health. So there's a lot of things to consider. And another thing I would say is, some people perceive that kind of peaceful living, the routines where you will deliberately cut out some time with no distractions and no speaking and no noise around you, as something that is only for very religious people. It doesn't really apply to your normal everyday life, but really, why not? Because it doesn't cost you anything to switch the phone off, and it doesn't cost you anything to switch the television off. So what stops you from doing it? And if that makes you feel a bit uncomfortable, I think it's probably because you've become quite addicted to the dopamine triggered by all of the noise around you. So one thing I'd say as a way to think about this is, imagine going out into some sacred site or some majestic landscape, something really, really beautiful. And if you imagine yourself in that kind of location, do you sit there and imagine that you would be fidgeting around, looking for the remote control, wondering what's come through on your phone? You wouldn't be, would you? So in certain contexts, you can imagine that it would be appropriate to sit there in silence and take it all in. But for some reason, in your home environment, in the streets that you walk and in the locations you visit as part of your daily routine, you don't see those as anything worthy of that kind of attention. But perhaps they are, and perhaps that's something you could try to tap into, creating little opportunities to embrace stillness in your life by just getting grounded in the moment, tuning out all of the distractions, and paying attention to what's beautiful in the world around you and what's beautiful in your own home and maybe your garden. I mean, you could try this exercise anywhere, and just tapping into that a few times a day could get you into the habit of recognizing that even when there's a lot going on, that inner stillness, that inner peace is still accessible. It's literally just the case of switching the sound off on your phone and taking a few deep breaths, and you can get back to your center. The other thing I'd say about this, the idea of being busy, we really elevate that as if it's an optimal state, as if you're not moving forwards, you're moving backwards, as if you're not achieving something, you're absolutely wasting your time. And if you're not working towards something or planning your work towards something, then what are you even doing with your life, sort of thing. And that's become quite a dominant way of thinking in the modern world. It wasn't always like that, and I don't think it's necessarily a very good thing. I mean, it's good. Hard work is great, but it's not a 24/7 thing. It used to be that we worked 8-hour days and then went home. But these days people work much longer shifts, and it's very much normalized that your life is spent working and striving and struggling and studying and improving yourself continuously and never taking a pause. And if you find that you begrudge yourself those moments of rest, the time to just pause, take it in and think about things, then you're doing yourself a disservice, because without taking those little breaks, you're not working efficiently. It's really not possible to be as productive as you could be if you don't allow yourself to take breaks and to sit back and have a look at your life from a sort of wider perspective and get an overall feel of how you're doing. When you're so much focused on the details and continuously moving forward, you can lose some perspective, and tapping into your inner stillness can avoid you doing that and avoid you burning out in the long run. So I think the main point of my blog entry was about reframing stillness, rather than thinking of it as something where you just switch off to the outside world and sort of go into a zombie mode where you're not really doing anything or feeling anything, you're just switched off. Think about it as tuning in or switching the stillness on. Think of it as something that you're consciously choosing to do. This isn't something that you're just passively waiting for. Think of those moments where you've experienced stillness before, or if it helps, imagine one of those awe-inspiring scenes, some beautiful location, or imagine yourself sitting in the middle of Stonehenge or something, and all of a sudden that silence and stillness becomes much more soul-nourishing and meaningful. And if that's what it takes for you to get used to the process, then do that. Another thing that I think it's worth trying is meditating on trees and the way that they stay anchored to the earth, so that no matter what happens and no matter how much noise is going on around them, no matter how much buffeting they take from the wind and the rain and the elements and everything that's going on, they don't lose that inner stability. They don't lose their grounding. There's a good portion of the tree that remains still, even while the rest of it could be waving about quite wildly, with bits falling off even. The centre of the tree stays fully grounded and anchored to the earth. That stillness is never lost. So perhaps you can imagine it in that context, whereby no matter what's going on or how you're being blown about by life, there's some part of you that stays fully anchored to the earth and remains still no matter what's going on. It may help if you actually look at a tree while you're imagining that. That might help you to reflect on how that applies to you, noticing the things that actually, I tell you what, if it's like a soap opera if you start watching a tree. I've got a tree out the back of my house where I watch all the birds coming and going. I watch what the squirrels are up to. Honestly, it's like a play. Every time I go out there, something new is happening in the tree. It's quite exciting. But like it does make a great focus for meditation. Well, I've got a number of trees and I do like to hang around with trees. They tend to make good companions. They'll certainly listen to all of your problems. And apparently, just looking at a tree can help your body to heal. People in hospital with rooms that have windows where they can see trees tend to heal quicker than people that don't, which is quite amazing, isn't it? So, I mean, that's something you could choose to do. Decide to tap into your inner stillness, and all you need to do is to go and sit near a tree and tap into that energy, tap into that vibe, maintain your grounding. Don't move at every tiny gust. You can be unshakable, centered and strong, no matter what's going on. So, of course, you can amplify the effect of the time that you're spending in stillness by working with energy healing techniques. And there are a few that I would recommend that would really lend themselves to this kind of practice and really amplify those sessions. Like, you literally only need to spend a couple of minutes. You can, of course, spend much longer in your little moments of stillness, but if you just do it for a minute or two, a few times a day, you're teaching your brain how to return to that state. So the first one I'd recommend is the Center of Stillness activation. It's one of my favourites for this activity. It's one that I use a great deal. And it's about bringing yourself back into your centre and withdrawing your consciousness and attention from all the things around you. And there are a lot of things that this can help with. Like, if you experience chronic pain and things like that, using these kinds of meditations can help you to not focus so much on the pain. Even if you don't have chronic pain, you must know the experience of having a headache, for example, and how much worse it gets if you can't ignore it. And the more you focus on it, the worse it seems to get. The more you react to it, perhaps you just are tensing up in reaction to the pain, And sometimes working with an energy healing system like Center of Stillness activation can help you to bring your consciousness and your attention back into your center and away from all of those stimuli, including the odd headache. And it can really help you to relax, even if it's just relaxing enough so that it's not bothering you so much that it keeps you awake. But that's a very versatile system that you could try out. And another one is Usui Reiki, which is a full spectrum energy healing system. It has a series of hand positions that are taught with Usui Reiki, which is why I recommend it as an excellent foundation for energy healers. Because once you've learnt the sequence of hand positions for giving a treatment to yourself and to other people, it really has a natural flow to it. And that can really help you to bring your attention back to yourself and tune out those distractions, just the process of going through the hand positions. But also because it's a full spectrum energy healing system, working with pure white light, which is a combination of all colours of light, it can be very relaxing to work with as well. And if you have difficulty sleeping, if you tend to get stressed when you're trying to get to sleep, then Usui Reiki might be a good one to work with. It's also great for emotional balance because there's a couple of symbols that you can combine that are taught in Usui Reiki. The Choku-rei symbol and the Sei-ki symbol can be used in combination for emotional healing. Working with those two symbols as part of your stillness practice could really amplify the effect, help you to bring some calm back into the mix and find your grounding. And all of these courses that I'm mentioning you can find on the Mayastar website at mayastar.net. And then there's the Lotus Fountain Healing course, which was channeled through the goddess Kuan Yin, which is a very soft and flowing yin energetic current, and that can be a perfect antidote, sort of like if you imagine a cleansing fountain of light, how it would run through your aura and clear away all the stresses and strains and all the negativity and debris that's been picked up energetically over the day. It's a great cleansing, clearing and balancing technique that you can work with. And that would also be a great addition to a stillness practice. And finally, the Inner Light Reiki course, which is one of the courses that's just been restored to the Mayastar syllabus, which is focused on connecting with your inner light, bringing your consciousness back to your soul and sort of back to your 5D reality instead of being so much invested in the 3D reality in your outer world. So working with that system can also bring you back to your center, withdraw your energy from the distractions around you, and bring you back to a state of balance. So all of these practices are possibilities, but what really works is whatever energy healing system that you feel most connected to, the one that inspires you to use it regularly, is the one that will be the most powerful and transformative for you. And it could be something else. It could be that using the crystal breathing technique from the Ethereal Crystals Healing course becomes part of your practice, or working with the violet flame or something like that. But these ones that I've mentioned in this episode are just the ones that I would recommend. And they would be a good place to start if you're thinking of trying out energy healing to help you come back to yourself. These are good options to start with. And once it becomes a daily habit, you'll notice that you feel just a lot lighter in your energy, a lot more positive and balanced. I would recommend that you have a look at the blog entry for this. I've given some more information on there, some more tips and techniques that you might try. So if you found this episode interesting so far, once we're finished here, visit blog.mayastar.net to explore it in more detail. And now we come to the Lemurian Star Child Oracle for some starseed guidance and inspiration for the coming days. And as usual, I will schedule a community post on the Mayastar Podcast YouTube channel with an image of the card, so that if you want to check it out, you can do so by visiting the channel. The Lemurian Star Child Oracle is really beautiful. It's a unique deck. It's much bigger than most Oracle decks, but it reflects the vibes and the mythology and the magic of Lemuria really well. And as somebody who works with the Lemurians, in particular with the goddess Amara daily, it's becoming an important deck for me. But because I don't tend to read guidebooks, I'm using these episodes as an opportunity to dive into the guidebook. So these oracle readings are actually helping me to learn more about the cards rather than just working with them intuitively. And I hope you find these readings interesting as well. So let's have a look and see what the deck has for us today. Today's card is very beautiful. It's mostly red and white, and it's titled Nurture. It's really giving me strong High Priestess vibes and Goddess Amara vibes and Mother Mary and Yamaya. The image looks like a goddess gazing at the planet Earth. Well, it looks like the planet Earth that's within the center of a rose, a blooming rose. This actually really vibes with me today because I've been writing an article for next week's blog, for the Maya Muses blog, and I was writing about the goddess Amara and the rituals that I'm working for the Imbolc festival and the full snow moon, which will be coming up soon at the time of recording this episode. So it feels very pertinent to the times and reflecting the current energetic influences we're working with. It has a very gentle and kind energy as well. It's giving a very much surrounded by love and light vibe. So let's have a look in the guidebook and see what other inspiration we can derive. Okay. Oh look, it's the card is number 2, so that gives even more High Priestess vibes because the High Priestess is numbered 2 in the tarot. Okay, so the key words for this are self-healing, ruby ray, birthing the new earth, earth star, divine co-creation, grounding divine energies, loving womb of Mother Gaia. I receive the high vibrational light of the ruby ray, which brings unconditional love and self-acceptance through a gentle embrace. The deep love of the ruby ray descends to heal separation, trauma, and negative self-talk. Ascended beings use the ruby colour to convey their deep love for you. It's also a colour that you can use to nurture yourself and other beings, including Gaia. Sharing is natural in the healing process, where the ruby ray is received in your physical and energetic bodies. And the red light energy is associated with the base chakra. That's the energy center that connects you with the earth. And it is the energy that you would focus on to strengthen your grounding and to protect your energy field. So it ties in very well with what we've been talking about today, funnily enough. It's always the way, isn't it? These cards always surprise me at how relevant they always are. So let's see, what else does it say? Dear human, the earth needs you, but not in the way you might think. Humans tend to make Gaia into another human, to project human emotions onto her. This is not the truth. The earth cannot be saved by the mental, emotional thinking, and it does not need to be saved. The earth does not judge or suffer. It only feels the suffering of humanity. To relieve the mother is to surrender the mental, emotional thinking so that you can come forward. Your true expression and love is what Gaia longs for, not for our own needs, but for the highest good of all humanity. This surrender is the love of the ruby ray, the true love, the truth. This would be a great card to meditate on for your stillness, wouldn't it? So if you feel moved to, that's definitely something you could do. Check out the card. I'll post the picture up on the Mayastar Podcast YouTube channel in the community post section. So check that out and see how it vibes with you, and perhaps use that to meditate on. And at the end of this reading, we have some affirmations, and one of them I think in particular would be great for meditation. It says, I nurture myself beyond fear and enjoy the blossoming of my heart into wholeness. These cards really never disappoint, do they? And they're absolutely stunning. So don't forget to check the card out. If this message vibes with you today, it might be something you want to reflect on and continue to work with in the coming days. But if not, just leave whatever doesn't vibe with you behind and have a magical day. And that brings us to the end of today's Unscripted episode. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope you're leaving this episode suffused with good vibes and great ideas. You can hear more from me today by exploring previous Unscripted episodes. And remember that these episodes are pre-recorded, but you can find my latest mystical musings and updates on the Maya Muses blog at blog.mayastar.net. I hope to see you back here again soon, and in the meantime, I wish you peace, prosperity, and progress in all you do. With blessings.